Hi, I'm Old Norse Specialist Dr. Jackson Crawford. And now that I'm back living in the Rockies, I can get high before work every day. Get it? Because Colorado has legalized marijuana, and that's the Continental Divide. I don't actually smoke pot. Alright, anyway, for the third installment in my series of summarized videos about the action of Njal Saga, Bergthora, the wife of Njal, and Hallgeir, the wife of Gunnar, now hate one another. And the next summer, after the feast at Yule, at which this hatred begins, Hallgeir and Bergthora decide to turn this feud from a feud of words to a feud of killings. First of all, there is a forest between the property of Gunnar and Njal that the two men share, but they're such good friends that they've never actually split it up and decided where the boundary lies. Well, Bergthora sends one of her slaves to cut wood in this forest, and in the meantime, Hallgeir sends a man to the forest as well to kill that slave. The word is brought to Gunnar and Njal while they're at the Althing. This is during the summer when the Althing meets. This is the national court/festival of Iceland in the Middle Ages. So Gunnar and Njal are at home. Word is brought to them at the Althing, and Gunnar promptly pays over the price of the slave, 120 pieces of silver, to Njal, which settles the dispute. Right, it's a slave that Gunnar can simply pay Njal for the loss. Well, the next summer, Bergthora sends a new hired man named Atli to go kill the slave who killed her slave the previous summer. Once again, Gunnar and Njal are away at the Althing. Messengers come to them and tell them what's happened, and this time Njal pays back over to Gunnar the exact same 120 pieces of silver. Now, before Njal goes to the next Althing a year later, he warns Atli, this hired man, that he ought to leave his and Bergthora's farm because surely Hallgeir is going to get him killed that year. Atli says that he's not a coward, he's not going to leave, but he asks Njal not to accept a slave's price for him. He doesn't want that 120 pieces of silver paid over for him. He wants a free man's price. Well, sure enough, that summer, while Njal is away at the Althing, Hallgeir sends a man named Brennu-Njáls, who's some distant relation of Gunnar, to kill Atli, and he does. Messengers come to the Althing and tell Gunnar and Njal what's happened, and this time Njal has to ask for more than the 120 pieces of silver. He asks Gunnar to pay double that, a free man's price, 240 pieces of silver. A year later, it is Bergthora's turn, and this time she turns to Thord. Now, Thord is an escalation here. Thord is the foster father of her sons, of Skarphedin and Helgi. And so getting him involved when he's surely going to get killed in this turn-taking feud is clearly a sign that she wants to get her sons involved. She wants to create a situation of war between her farm and Gunnar's farm. Even though Gunnar and Njal are great friends, maybe she can get her sons involved and get them to want to kill him. Well, Thord goes and kills Brennu-Njáls. Again, messengers come to the Althing. Gunnar says that he can't accept a slave's price for him either. Njal pays over that same 240 pieces of silver Gunnar had paid to him the previous summer. The next year, Gunnar and Njal are away at the Althing. Hallgeir now sends Sigmund, a cousin of Gunnar, out to kill Thord. The news is brought to the Althing, and Njal is shocked, of course, that his friend and the foster father of his sons has been killed. He asks that the news be repeated to him 3 times. He's so shocked. But without consulting with his sons, he goes straight to Gunnar and says that he can't accept just 240 pieces of silver for a man so close to him. He needs 360. Gunnar pays it over, and with this, the constant cycle of killing and payment ends. So compensation has been paid for their foster father Thord, but the sons of Njal are very angry that monetary settlement was accepted for someone so dear to them. And so they welcome the excuse to kill Sigmund after they learn that he has been composing insulting poems about them and their father. Since Njal lacks a beard, and this is a key sign of manhood in this society, Sigmund has been composing poems about Njal's beardlessness and about how his sons have to put manure on their faces in order to grow beards. This is a sufficient insult to their masculinity that they can legally kill Sigmund. Gunnar accepts that this was a legitimate reason to kill him, kill his cousin Sigmund, and so he does not push the feud any further, and it kind of dies. All right. The next thing that happens is there is a bad famine, and Gunnar goes to a neighbor named Otkell and asks him if he will sell him some food and some hay for his animals. Otkell has a friend named Skamkel who is frequently with him, who advises him not to give anything to Gunnar. Gunnar is angry, but he doesn't push the matter, and as he's leaving, Otkell asks if he'll buy a slave. It seems to come out of nowhere, but Gunnar says, sure, I'll buy a slave from you, and he buys an Irish slave named Melkol from Otkell. While Gunnar is away at the Althing the following summer, this is always a troublous time at this family farm, Hallgerd sends that slave, Melkol, to go to Otkell's house where he had previously worked and steal butter and cheese. So he steals butter and cheese, burns down the house or shed where the butter and cheese was kept. But as he's going back to Hallgerd's farm, he stops to fix his shoe, which is coming apart a little bit, and in the darkness he ends up leaving his knife and a little bit of shoestring behind him. Well, Gunnar comes home from the Althing with some friends who are traveling home themselves, and he invites them to have dinner with him. And Hallgerd serves butter and cheese, which Gunnar knows they don't have any of. He asks her where she got them. She says that it's not a man's job to worry about dinner preparations, and Gunnar slaps her, which she says that she will remember. Now, of course, remember what happened the last two times husband slapped Hallgerd. All right. Otkell initially actually assumes that this wasn't theft, that his shed for keeping his dairy products is burned down because it was too close to the kitchen, where there's an open fire, of course, in medieval times. Well, Skamkel suspects differently when he finds the shoestring and knife that belonged to the slave Melkol. Of course, at this time, people mostly have handmade, homemade items, so somebody's knife would probably be pretty distinctive. They, of course, can't prove that this was theft, but they go to Mord. Now, Mord is the son of Un. If you remember Un, she's the cousin of Gunnar, that Gunnar helped get her property back from Hrut. She later marries a man named Volgar, then they have a son named Mord. So he is related to Gunnar, but he has kind of a bad attitude toward Gunnar throughout the saga. Mord proposes that they can figure out who stole the butter and cheese by sending beggar women around their district of Iceland asking for food. And he says that people will get rid of stolen stuff first. So, sure enough, they go to Hallgerd's place. She gives them butter and cheese. The beggar women bring the butter and cheese back to Mord, Otkell, and Skamkel. They do a little CSI Reykjavik. They have Otkell's cheese mold, which they put the cheese the women have gotten in, and it's a match, so they know that Hallgerd is behind the theft. All right. Gunnar also discovers that this is where the butter and cheese came from, so he goes to Otkell and offers to pay him for the destroyed storage shed and for the theft of food. But Otkell, at Skamkel's advice, won't make the deal. This is, of course, a bad idea because Gunnar is an honorable man, as Otkell's own brother recognizes and scolds him for. And this, of course, is just going to lead to bad blood. Otkell decides that he wants the advice of wise and powerful men on how to deal with this situation with Gunnar. So Skamkel goes to Gizur and Geir, neighboring wise, powerful men, and asks them what Otkell should do. They tell Skamkel that he should tell Otkell to accept Gunnar's deal because it was a great offer. But of course, Skamkel, deceptive fellow that he is, comes back to Otkell and tells him that Gizur and Geir think he needs to summon Gunnar for prosecution for the theft. So they deliver the summons. This, of course, angers Gunnar. Once they get to the thing where this case is going to be prosecuted, however, Gitzer and Geir find out about Skamkel's lie, and they decide to intervene, and they get Otkell to offer Gunnar self-judgment, meaning that he can decide what he owes Otkell. Gunnar says he was willing to pay full price, more than full price, for the barn and the stolen items, but now he owes Otkell nothing because of the summons. Gitzer and Geir say, well, can you at least pledge Otkell your friendship? And Gunnar says, no, he already has Skamkel's friendship. I think that's enough for him. All right, well, a tense peace holds for a little while, but one day Otkell, Skamkel, and buddies are riding off to visit some other friend of theirs, and they pass Gunnar's place. Gunnar is out sowing seed in his fields. And as they ride past, Otkell is on a young, untamed colt, or recently broken colt, and he loses control of it, and Gunnar, who's apparently, I don't know, planning with his earbuds in or something, doesn't realize that he's being charged by this horse has gone wild till the last minute, and so Otkell passes him, and as he does, just barely misses him, but his spur happens to graze Gunnar's ear and cheek, causing him to bleed. So Gunnar stays calm. He doesn't do anything about this right away. There's a saying in Old Norse that actually comes from the Saga of Grettir, that a slave takes vengeance right away, but only a coward never does. So, of course, biding your time is valued, even in this society where keeping face involves killing in response to insults like this, and especially insults that draw blood or otherwise injure you. But rumors start flying around that Gunnar cried when Otkell's spur injured him. And this only grates on Gunnar more because, of course, to insult a man and say that he cried is in fact a criminal offense and good legal justification for killing him. So in chapter 54, Gunnar, having been informed by a sheepherder boy in his employ that Otkell and his 7 companions are coming back on the trip that they made, in which on the 2 journey Otkell had cut Gunnar's face, Gunnar and Kolskegg attack them at a ford in a river and kill all 8. It's actually one of the best battle scenes in the sagas. It's in chapter 54 of Njál's saga. Gunnar is prosecuted for these killings, but because of his justification, the insults levied against him, he only has to pay reduced manslaughter charges. Njal recognizes that Gunnar is an up-and-coming man, but warns him that things won't always be this easily resolved, and he needs to be careful that he does not kill twice in the same family. Well, a little while later, another neighbor of Gunnar's named Starkad and his son Thorgeir invite Gunnar to a horse fight. This is one of the great entertainments of the day, where men bring their stallions to fight over a mare that's in season. And they goad it with sticks, they poke it and whack it and get them to fight. This is also something we see, of course, in the story of Thorstein's Staffstruck. This starts a big fight in that story, that short saga. Well, during the horse fight, Gunnar is struck by Starkad's son, and this almost erupts into fighting, but cooler tempers prevail. But Starkad and Thorgeir and co. are not happy with cooler tempers prevailing, and angry at Gunnar, they later ambush him, as well as his brother Kolskegg and his basically previously unmentioned brother Hjort, and kill Hjort, even though Gunnar kills many of their band. Now, self-defense cases being in medieval Iceland much the same as they are in the US, you can still, of course, have legal action brought against you for self-defense, and Gunnar does have a legal case brought against him for killing the men that he did when he and his brothers were ambushed, and he ends up paying arbitration, with Hjort's death evening out a little bit of the money that he has to pay. So he's still held in honor, but of course there is great anger against this family. Now, Thorgeir Starkad's son realizes that the prophecy that Njal made, that Gunnar must not kill twice within the same family, is his key to getting Gunnar killed, because Njal said that that's the only way Gunnar is going to get killed, is if he kills twice in the same family. So, together with Mord, our old buddy, the treacherous kin of Gunnar, he comes up with a plan, and he goes to Thorgeir Otkelsson. Now, Thorgeir Otkelsson and Thorgeir Starkason end up attacking Gunnar once again, and in the process of this fight, Thorgeir Starkason watches Thorgeir Otkelsson get killed, and now he can smell the money because Gunnar has killed both Otkell and his son Thorgeir, killing twice within the same family as Njal predicted. And so Gunnar is sued for this, and he is given lesser outlawry. Now, this is a legal penalty in the old Icelandic Commonwealth that provides that a man has to leave Iceland for 3 years, although he gets a short grace period in which to get things in order and prepare for his departure. So, Gunnar and his brother Kolskegg are ready to leave Iceland some weeks later, but as they're riding away from Gunnar's farm at Hlíðarindi, Gunnar falls off of his horse when the horse stumbles, and he falls in such a way that, perhaps much like me when I first left the Rockies, he lands looking at the hillside, and he's so taken by the beauty that he says that he is never going to leave, and so he goes home. This makes his wife Hallgerith happy, but his mother Randveig suspects that he will die, and Kolskegg, of course, decides that he'll go abroad anyway, and warns his brother that he will never see him again. And at this point, Kolskegg is out of the saga. Well, Gunnar stays at home in peace for a while. He is a powerful man, so people aren't too willing to mess with him, but law and order must be maintained. And so a group of men led by Gitsur, one of those wise, powerful men in the neighborhood, come after him in a group of about 30, if I'm recalling that correctly. The wind was blowing too hard during the last part of that video, so I'm going to have to finish it now months later before I post it. So, a group of about 30 men gather together under Gitsur the White to assault Gunnar at home, but they have one major obstacle to killing him there, which is that he has a psychic dog. This dog, named Som, was given to him by his relation Olav Peacock, who is a major character in the Saga of the People of Laxardal. So this dog can detect when people have good or bad intentions. And so what they do is they get a neighbor, they force him, they say they'll kill him if he doesn't do this, that the dog recognizes as a friend, to go up and kill the dog. And so the neighbor approaches the dog and is about to kill him when Som, the psychic dog, realizes that he has evil intent and bites him, but he does manage to kill Som. Som howls terribly, which Gunnar hears, and then Gunnar says, "Well, my foster son," he calls Som, "I don't think there will be much space between our deaths." Notice that he calls Som his foster son, just like Hravenkel calls Freyfoxy his horse his foster son in Hravenkel's saga. So, with the dog killed, they approach the house. Most of Gunnar's men are out haying in a distant field, so Gunnar is actually alone with his mom and with Hallgerith, his wife. And so they're not actually even sure that Gunnar is at home. They send one of their men up to the house to see if he's there. Gunnar ends up stabbing him through the window with his atger, his weapon, and when he stumbles back toward the other attackers, they ask him, "Is Gunnar home?" And the man says, "I do not know, but his spear is at home." I just can't help but read this kind of humorous one-liner in an Arnold Schwarzenegger voice. So Gunnar has fantastic skills in archer, so he manages to keep shooting arrows at his attackers and keeping them pinned far away from the house, so they're not able to approach and deal with him. And at one point, he sees that they're getting discouraged and they're about to leave, and they've shot arrows at him too. He thinks, wouldn't it be a good joke on them if I fire one of their arrows back at them? Well, his mother discourages him from doing this. She says, "Look, it looks like they're about to leave," but Gunnar notches up one of their arrows and shoots it back at the attackers, hitting one of them. At this point, when they see that he's shooting their arrows back at them, again, sort of like with the stolen cheese and the knife that they were able to tell was Melkor from probably you made your own arrows, and so someone could kind of recognize their own work. They see that he's shooting back their arrows at them, and they decide he's running out of arrows, so they actually get encouraged. But they still need some kind of plan. Morth, who's always up to evil schemes, says that they should burn him inside the house, but Gitzer says that they'll never do that. That's too evil, and if Morth is so clever, he should be able to come up with something better than that. In the meantime, one man goes up on the roof and, leaning down with a knife, cuts Gunnar's bowstring where he's poked his bow out of the window. And now Gunnar turns, he kills the guy with his Otgeir first, but then he turns to Hallgeir, then asks her if she will give him a lock of her hair, which is supposed to be so long that it covers her entire body, so that he can make a new bowstring with. Not that this would probably actually make a good bowstring, but of course, it's good dramatic effect. And Hallgeir says, "Does anything depend on it?" Gunnar says, "Only my life." And she says, "Well, then I'll choose to remember that slap that you gave me now." Gunnar says, "Well, everybody has something they want to be famous for, and I'll let you have yours." That's my translation of those famous words. Different translators interpret that in various different ways. So Morth comes up with a plan to tie some ropes around the beams in Gunnar's house roof, and then tie the other ends around some rocks, and then twist the roof off. And once they've done this, they all pile on Gunnar and kill him. And Gitzer is honorable in how he proceeds afterwards. He asks Randveig, Gunnar's mother, if he can bury the two men Gunnar killed out of the party there. And she says, "Yes, but I wish I were giving you more, more burial space." He says, "That's fine, it's fair for you to say, you've lost your son here." And he orders his men not to loot, not to do any more damage. They bury their men, and they go away. Gunnar is buried in a mound, and his son Grani goes away with Hallgeir to live with some of their relatives, but Hogni stays behind at the farm with his grandma Randveig. Grim and Helgi Njalsson are now away, but Skarpeth and Njalsson is still in Iceland, and he spends time with young Hogni on Gunnar's old farm at Hlíðarindi. And at one night, they're out when Gunnar's Afturganga, his sort of zombie, is wandering outside of his grave, and he composes a poem about how he would rather die fighting than die as a coward. And Skarpeth and Hogni both interpret this as a message that they should go out and avenge him on his killers. They end up killing a bastard son of Gitzer, as well as Thorgeir Starkason, I believe, as well as Starkad, who were part of the team of killers, and of course who began a lot of this bad blood against Gunnar. They stop short of killing Morth because he pays them off, and after this, Hogni Gunnarsson is more or less out of the story, although Grani Gunnarsson, the sort of bad son of Gunnar, will actually become an enemy of Njal and his sons for the rest of the saga. All right, well, that ends this installment of my recap of Njal's saga. For now, from beautiful Colorado, I'm wishing you all the best.